Wuthering Waves beta test has started since 3 days ago for CN players. Yes, CN players, and some content creators that got early access into it. A lot of things has been exposed, which makes Wuthering Waves beta test quite a hot topic recently. A lot of people praise Kuro for the instant progress, but there are also a lot of people that complains about several aspects of the game. Whether it's about the story, the difficulty of the game modes, and a bunch of other things as well. So in here I'm going to talk about this, the thing that is actually good for the game, and the things that I personally don't like within the game. Again, this is still the first beta test, so a constructive feedback and critics will be beneficial for Kuro. I hope you guys also take an active role for this, and let me know in the comment section below. So I'm going to start with the story of the game. So a lot of people in the mainland, or young players I should say, they said that the story is kinda like the first 8 chapters of PGR. For those who didn't know, basically the first 8 chapters of PGR is kinda slow, and nothing much really going on in those chapters. I also personally think that those chapters kinda boring as well, so I get it why people been complaining about this. Don't get me wrong, I didn't say that PGR early chapters are bad, but if you compare it with the newer chapter, the difference is night and days. I actually cannot say a lot about this because I haven't seen the story yet. I don't want to spoil myself. I would rather enjoy the story by my own, but unfortunately I don't have early access to the beta. I really hope I have it. So rather than watching someone else doing the story, I will just wait for the moment when I can read the story by myself. But still, for me this is not a big deal, because this is still the first beta test. Changing the pace of the story is still very easy and very possible at this moment. Although, I do agree that the opening of the game, where Rover wakes up in the middle of nowhere, it needs to be changed. It feels like it's kinda a slow opening. It's been used in several games already if you know, so for me, it feels like the story lacks of impacts in the beginning. My suggestion for this, rather than starting the game waking up in the middle of nowhere, maybe you can start the game in the middle of fight or war. Or maybe start from the flashback where the development happens. For those who didn't know what is Kalaman, basically it is the same thing as the Archon Wars in Genshin. Or just watch my previous video about lore. After the flashback ends, then we can go with Rover wakes up in the morning, going on mission with Yang Yang, then starts the rest of the story there. For example, if you watch an action anime movie, they use this a lot. Movie anime like Naruto for example, and the other batch of anime as well, they start the first second of the episode with a fight immediately. I personally think that this is way more engaging to start the story, rather than just wake up with amnesia, to be honest. They even done this with PGR already. We start the story in the middle of the fight, where Lucia needs to turn off her pain receptor, and I think they should just use PGR opening, or even near automata opening, where it starts in the middle of war against robots. Of course, this is just my opinion. In the end, this is just one of many feedbacks that Kuro will receive later, after the first CBT ends. Moving on though, after talking about the bad side of the game, in quotation marks, I want to talk about the things that I actually like in the game, which is, yes, about the equipment or gear system in the game. I personally think that this is a great job from Kuro to make people keep exploring the map to find the monster. So in Genshin we have artifact system where you need to farm in domains. It consumes your stamina, but in Wuthering Waves we have a thing called the ecosystem. Basically, you only need to defeat a monster, and then you catch them, so you can use them to add more stats to your characters. Step Haru already explained about this already. For a full explanation, I will just link his video below. And yeah, I personally like this feature because it solves the problem where players doesn't have any motivation to explore the older map. Like, it is the issue that we have in Genshin, where people won't visit older maps such as the Chasm, Dragon Spine for example, because they already finished exploring the map and there is no point to visit it again, other than maybe a certain world quest or an event going on in there. So with this ecosystem, you need to keep exploring the map, finding the monster, catching the monsters if you want to roll for a good stats in your equipment. So a great job for Kuro in my opinion. Some people do think that they need to remove the RNG for the substats, but I personally think it's fine, because to kill a monster you don't need to spend a stamina for it, unless they put a long ass cooldown for the monster to respawn. then yeah, it's gonna be problematic. But knowing it's Kuro, I think they will have a solution for this substance RNG, basically like they did in PGR with resonance material for your memory system. The next part is actually the biggest issue that most players complaining about. It is about the gacha system and the endgame content. TLDR for gacha, if you play Genshin before, it is basically just like Genshin. 90 PT for 50-50 chance, and if you lost the first 90 PT, you get 100% chance in the next PT. So you can see why people been complaining about this. I don't need to explain about this anymore, so you can figure about this out. And then the next thing that people been complaining about is the endgame content. Yes, it is confirmed that Wuthering Waves also has some kind of spiral base on it. But the difference is, you don't need to worry about the stars in here. So basically just clear the challenge within the time limit. So rather than calling it a spiral base, it's more like normal challenge from BGR, where you need to clear the challenge within the time limit. And no extra reward if you clear it faster than other people. But the problem about this game mode is, it is the only endgame content that Wuthering Waves has right now. Of course, in the end, this is just a beta test. I hope they do add more about endgame content. Otherwise, it will end up being what people been complaining about. Yes, people afraid that this game will end up like Genshin, with only Spiral Abyss as their endgame content. Other than that, they did a great job for improving the graphics over 6 months. They did a great job with ecosystem. It's just they need to add more about the endgame content and maybe change a bit about the gacha system. Again, this is just a beta test, everything are subject to change. Kuro has already proven many times they can change things drastically. Even in PGR beta test, they copied Honkai Stigmata gacha. So yes, we need to actually do a gacha for memory in PGR beta test. And if we take a look at the current PGR right now, it is basically night and day. So I believe Kuro is not stupid about this. They might probably even expected about the drama, and they might probably expected that people will complain about the gacha, so everything that happens in here is not without a purpose. At last but not least, the other thing that becomes an issue is the difficulty of the game. Some people been complaining that the game is not hard enough, or at least as hard as PGR. But in my opinion, the boss in story mode doesn't need to be extremely hard. This way, you won't get keep casuals to enjoy the story. Like the story mode in PGR, even if you die, the game will just revive you till you beat the boss. So personally, I will let casuals enjoy the story, and for those who wants to mod, let's hope that Kuro adds more challenge mode later, in addition with Spiral Abyss or Norman Challenge. Of course, this is just my opinion. I don't really mind if the story mode goes hard, because I personally like challenge. I cleared Babel several times already in PGR, but I do care about casuals that are going to play Wuthering Waves. So yeah, if you have any other concern about the game, make sure to write proper feedback. Don't trash talk with each other. Everyone deserves to share their own opinion about the game. I believe you guys are not a kid anymore, so just let Kuro knows how to make a better game. That's all about the video. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and I see you guys next time.